Yeah, hi, Ian here, Path to Paradise. Now, here's a topic for you: healing grief or conscious grieving. So, I'm going to deal with this through outlining my own experience, because so many times I've heard recently that grief is something that you never get over. That's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. Grief is something you never get over if you don't know who you are, if you're not having the direct experience of yourself as life itself. See, my daughter passed suddenly 2 years ago. It's going to be 2 years coming up next week, actually. And I wouldn't even call it grief. Sure, it was absolutely horrific. The trauma of being on the phone to your granddaughter 1,000 k's away, hearing that your daughter is dying, and being on the phone when the ambulance people came up and said, sorry, there's no more we can do for her, she's gone. That rocks you to your socks, I can tell you, you know. But grieving. See, I see from my experience that grieving occurs when we do not know who we are. Now, to have such a horrific event happen, it made all the difference that I'd spent more than 30 years on self-knowledge, on digging deeper into who I was and understanding and coming from a place of wholeness rather than this fragmented idea, this disconnected state. See, we are life itself, and everything is life. And that has no opposite. It just is. Life is. Death is a transition. That is it. Now, this is going to be just head stuff until you've done the work for yourself. So, okay, I said it's coming up to two years next week since my daughter passed. There's no grieving involved. I will definitely sit and feel any sadness that comes up as a result of that anniversary. I will definitely look to see what else is there within me regarding my daughter's passing. But I don't grieve. See, my daughter's passing turned out to be the most transformative experience of my life. And this really occurred because I thought, God, this is hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I want to honour my daughter. So in order to do that, allow me to feel whatever emotions are there, whatever ideas and beliefs are there, and I would go and sit probably a dozen times a day, pretty much the whole day, looking at what was coming up for me, using my mind to imagine my daughter dying as quick as that. Because it was sudden. It wasn't, it wasn't a long-term illness. So I would use my mind solely for that and then allow myself to experience whatever emotions were there. Now, after days and nights of doing this, my life just transformed. And I had no idea why. I thought there was something bloody wrong with me, that my life had turned around within 3 or 4 days. But later on, I began to realize that what I had done through allowing myself time after time to experience depth of emotion, my ideas, my beliefs regarding death, what I had done was I'd set myself free. See, as I said before, death is an illusion, but that's going to mean nothing if it's just headspace. Now, this is the message that I'm trying to get through. Do the inner work. Who the bloody hell are you? Because you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, and you are not your beliefs. You are the space, the awareness, you are life itself in its fullness, having an experience as a human being. Now, until you get to the state where you are in the direct experience of that, you're going to grieve. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be that way. When you see that life has no opposite, and when I'm talking about seeing, I'm talking about the experience, having the experience, the direct experience, that life is just an endless, infinite journey, and that the essence of who we are is incorruptible and infinite. These are all awakenings that I had at that time. So that to me is conscious grieving. Allow yourself to experience whatever needs to experience. Now, the grief that lasts for the rest of your life is a clinging to a state of being, to the fact that once upon a time my daughter was alive and she should be still alive. It's a resistance to reality. The reality is that was the transition day for my daughter. Now, I feel that life goes on. I feel my daughter still. And the love that I have for my daughter is always going to be in here. But it is not experienced through grief. Sure, as I said, there might be emotions that come up, might be more sadness, there's no regret, because the last couple of times that I saw my daughter were the best times of our adult life. So there's a pointer. Don't leave on a bad note. Once upon a time, as a youth worker, I had this kid in one of my 15-year-old teenager in one of my courses, and his mother had died suddenly. When she went to work, there was an accident and she died suddenly. And his last memory of her, his last relationship with her, was one of argument and anger. Please, any argument, you need to be looking within yourself. Why the bloody hell are you having this? Why are you allowing your emotions, your ideas and beliefs to influence a relationship like that? Because you never know when it's the last time that you're going to hug that person. It's the last time that you're going to talk to that person, etc., etc. So there's a tip. Any argument, any disagreement, etc., look within, because that's an opportunity to set yourself free from something that might be unhealed within you. So always look at trying to leave your person, whether it's you're off to work or you're out in the back, you're going outside to the backyard to do some gardening. Always try to leave that person with love, with that deep connection. Okay, so again, grieving is temporary. It is not a life bloody sentence. The other thing is that my acceptance of life, the direct experience of myself as life led me that I bypassed the first two stages of grief, and that is denial and anger. I had no denial and I had no anger. Once the shock and the trauma, lifted, there was none of that. I moved straight into the acceptance that, hey, life for my daughter in human form is over. That's okay, because life goes on. She's just transitioned to another state of being, to another stage in her evolution. Just as I transitioned to another stage in my transition. through the going deeply into the emotions that arose at that time. So hope this helps. An end to grieving is possible. Accept your emotional landscape. Look at the beliefs you hold around this, and don't try to cling to a state of being that is no longer reality. Reality is what reality is, and the only thing that is going to harm us from that are our stories that it shouldn't have been that way, our resistance to what is. I hope this helps. I wish you all the best.